Okay.
Good evening. It's 7 o'clock, and we have two meetings and a public hearing. The first meeting is a special meeting of the Urbana City Council, very short agenda. And then we have a public hearing on two requests for G2 liquor licenses, and that will be followed by the Committee of the Whole, which will be chaired by, Mike Madigan, if he gets here. Okay.
Will he be?
Otherwise, we'll have to revise who's going to chair it. Okay. All right. I would like to call the special meeting of the Urbana City Council to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Ammons. Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Jacobson.
Here.
Mr. Madigan. Ms. Marlin. Mr. Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Smythe.
Here. First item is petitions and communications. Durrell Cruz.
I've made a copy of the comments just for the public record and to share them. I would just like to speak briefly to the resolution on adopting the TIF redevelopment plan and moving forward with that, if I may. When the city created TIF 1 in 1983, three general objectives were identified. One, to reduce and eliminate blighted conditions. Two, to enhance the tax base of the city of Urbana and the other taxing bodies. Three, to arrest the spread of blighting conditions in the properties adjacent to the project area. After 35 years, the spending of over $17 million as an economic development tool promised to energize downtown business and raise EAV, tax increment financing has fallen far short of its lofty goals. Facts can be troubling, but should not be ignored or dismissed just because they speak inconvenient truths. For example, TIF 1 is returning only $6.3 million in increased EAV to the tax rolls. That is a very meager yearly average of $180,000 EAV growth. When adjusted for inflation, the yearly average is only $70,000 a year. In fact, during the last 27 years, the EAV in TIF 1 has not even grown $1 million at a time when the greatest impact of TIF should have occurred, a profound statistic to ponder. In current dollars, it will take 24 to 28 years for taxing bodies to recapture their property taxes, and 60 to 70 years in inflation-adjusted dollars. Does anybody see any red flags here, or even some caution yellow flags? So in what capacity has TIF succeeded? TIF has succeeded as a city infrastructure maintenance and enhancement funded tool. Think of parking garage, city street upgrades, boneyard project, signage project, street art, clock tower, cabanas, etc. These public projects have obviously improved the downtown environment, but have not translated into a robust business climate, nor significantly increased EAV, a revealing sign of a lack of cause and effect. Unfortunately, the proposed redevelopment plan mimics the same goals, types of projects, and uses of TIF dollars as the first TIF. That should give everyone pause, especially local taxing partners. So what can be learned from TIF 1's performance and be applied to today? Maybe thinking about the nature and length of a new TIF is in order. Has the city strayed significantly from the primary purpose of TIF? Has it allocated TIF dollars in ways that are marginally related to energizing business development? The low TIF 1 and 2 EAV growth is suggestive of this. Should TIF dollars only be used for new business projects, either in the form of infrastructure improvements or tax incentives for that particular project? Should TIF dollars be spent on city or public infrastructure improvements and programs? Should they be significantly reduced? Does the way the city allocates TIF dollars to select public taxing partners for their use make economic development sense? How does this increase EAV? Is this just a way to gain their support? Is the practice fair and equitable to all taxing bodies? In the future, to help taxing bodies, should surplus TIF dollars simply be returned each year if no specific economic development project exists, rather than spent on questionable or marginal city programs and projects? Should a new TIF have a shorter lifespan, 10 to 11 years? There are numerous community benefits to consider here that we can't list tonight. Or should a 5-year moratorium even be considered and let the free market work? We can ignore or fail to learn from the 35-year history of downtown TIFs if we choose. But clearly decisions for what and how long a new downtown TIF should exist needs to be discussed more earnestly and in more detail, both with the public and taxing bodies, if the council hopes to achieve a more desirable and productive outcome than the previous downtown TIFs. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
First item is ordinance number 2016-05-040, an ordinance fixing a time for a public hearing in connection with the proposed designation of a central redevelopment project area, approval of a redevelopment plan and redevelopment projects, and adoption of tax increment financing and related matters. So,
Just
Brandon Boyce.
I just want to remind the council that there is a very small typo. The date of the plan document is May 13th, not May 6th. So if you could please note that in the motion, it's just incorrect. We'll correct that.
Okay, May 13th instead of May 6th?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you want to say anything?
These are two of the standard steps in moving towards the establishment of a new TIF. The first would set a public hearing to occur on July 11th, which is also at a regular council meeting in these chambers. And the second would create the interested party registry for interested citizens to receive, or organizations to receive information as specified in the Act. Both of these are necessary steps towards the proposed creation of a TIF district. And I think the earliest that we could complete the proposed timeline would be August 1st, if we hit all the benchmarks. And as you know, this is instrumental in moving forward with the proposed redevelopment of 200 Vine by TWG Development, and also our discussions with a prospective buyer for the Landmark Hotel.
Okay, any questions? Mike?
So you're saying that these are basically perfunctory measures to comply with state law regarding establishment of a TIF?
That's correct. There's a long noticing period prior to the public hearing.
Okay, so there will be, prior to final action, there will be more opportunity for input and debate.
Absolutely. That's
Okay.
what the public hearing provides
Well,
for.
I'm not going to belabor it tonight, but I have serious concerns about this, and I think probably other members do as well. So I'm fine with the perfunctory measure to move it forward, but I think a more meaningful debate will happen in the future, and I'll look forward to it.
Anyone else? Aaron?
So I would agree that I'm okay. I believe I'm okay with perfunctory measures because a lot of times these perfunctory, I'm just going to borrow that word for you. I don't even know if I know what it means exactly, but But these particular steps that are necessary to move this along. But I'm concerned because I think that there's some very good questions that are raised, and I mean, I just kind of want to hear you guys speak to the proposed questions around length of a TIF. Does it have to be 22 years? Why can't it be 10 years or 11 years?
When a TIF is established, it's established for the statutory period, which is 23 years. The council has the ability to terminate a TIF early, but that would be an action of a future city council, which I don't believe this body can obligate a future council to take such action. So hence it's established for the statutory time period, but a council can end a TIF prematurely at any time.
So our decision locks us into a 22 or 23-year term, basically.
Eric? Okay, sorry, are you finished?
That's not completely accurate because a future council could end it earlier if it so chose.
No, okay, I get your point, yeah.
It just
Okay, Eric?
I do think it would, I also hope that, and I expect that we'll have future chances for substantive discussion. I don't think we've had that really now. We've had a number of presentations or series of comments by Mr. Cruz, but that's not a format which is appropriate for council to debate or discuss. And I will say that on balance, I'm very favorable to the direction we're going. I've dusted off my my research mind, and I've been reading lots of articles from peer-reviewed literature about TIFs and how they work and what kind of TIFs work and what kind of TIFs don't work. So I'm ready to have, or I will be ready to have a good discussion on this. And of course, it's a big commitment, it's a big deal, and it's worth some full discussion.
Anyone else? Do you want to make the motion? Because it came from the committee, right?
Me? Oh,
Yeah,
myself?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Sure. Okay, so I'll make a motion that we accept ordinance number 2016-05040, fixing a time and a public hearing for a public hearing in connection with the proposed designation of a central redevelopment project area, approval of a redevelopment plan, and redevelopment projects and adoption of a tax increment financing district and related matters.
Second.
Okay, motion by Roberts, seconded by Smythe. Any other discussion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Ammons?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Smythe?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Okay, then I'll do the next one. Next is ordinance number 2016-05041, an ordinance of the City of Urbana, Champaign County, Illinois, authorizing establishment of a tax increment finance interested parties registry and adopting registration rules for such a registry. And for the committee, I'll move that with approval.
Second.
Okay, motion by Roberts, seconded by Smythe. Any discussion? Mr. Ammons?
Just, I'm looking for a definition of interested parties.
I believe that the form requires that the interested party be a city resident or an organization that is active in the city of Urbana.
Any other questions? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Ammons?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Smythe?
Yes.
That motion carries. And there being no further business at this meeting, I will adjourn it. Thank you all.